Hi, good Thursday morning, everyone. It's 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here with a video update on today's severe weather threat. It's never easy around here. We had a challenging forecast last week, and thankfully, severe weather did not really materialize, even though the ingredients looked like they would try to come together. It's kind of a similar thing today. We've got some ingredients, but can we bake the cupcakes out of the sugar and cream and everything else that we have on the table today? That is the big question, and it remains a very tough question to answer at this early morning hour, but we'll try to provide some insight as to what's going on today in this video. First of all, the Storm Prediction Center, that's part of the National Weather Service. They're the agency that issues these official severe weather outlooks, these colorful maps that we oftentimes show, and they maintained overnight with their severe weather outlook for the region today. They maintained that level 3 on our 1 to 5 scale risk for severe weather. That's kind of this tan color from about Interstate 80 on south into southeast Ohio and into parts of extreme eastern Kentucky and parts of western West Virginia as well. Surrounding that level 3, it's a level 2 risk in the yellow area that encompasses the rest of northeast Ohio and western PA. So the risks are definitely elevated today, but you have to have everything that comes together just right in order to actually produce severe weather. And while the tornado risk, as you can see, is also elevated, the yellow area from about Interstate 80 on south, that's about a 10% chance or higher of a tornado within 25 miles of any location in that yellow area. And then surrounding that area, it's more like a 5 to 10% chance of a tornado in this kind of brown or tan color through here. Bottom line, no matter where you are today, the chances are elevated of some severe weather, but it's not a given. And the reason for that is it's what we call a conditional threat. We have some ingredients, but the atmosphere needs to warm up enough, and we have to have a clean, kind of sector this afternoon of rain-free weather, maybe even some sunshine, in order to realize or take advantage of, if you will, some of this instability and wind shear that we have aloft. And one of our problems today when it comes to forecasting potential severe weather, cloud cover. Here's a look at a model depiction of clouds right through this afternoon across the region. The best chance of some appreciable sunny breaks is probably down here across West Virginia, perhaps far southern and southeast Ohio, but the clouds are going to be tough to break in northeast Ohio and northwest PA, and that's going to make, for perhaps lower instability levels in that part of the region. Chances are higher of enough sunny breaks to really boost those temperatures in a place like Morgantown, heading down towards Charleston as well. One thing we can look at here is a model depiction of the instability this afternoon, or convective available potential energy. Sometimes you see meteorologists refer to this as CAPE, C-A-P-E. That's convective available potential energy. It's basically storm fuel. Think of it that way. And as we get into the afternoon today, you start to see the colors shading in across Ohio and Pennsylvania. The darker the colors here, the higher the instability. And again, these numbers or these values are just not through the roof. There's some modest instability, but you like to see these numbers get above 1,000 at least. Here's the scale down here, and a lot of times our bigger severe weather outbreaks, the numbers are more like 2,000 or higher. We can have severe weather with relatively modest CAPE, but it's certainly not as common as if the numbers were, as when the numbers are higher. So again, these numbers are pretty modest this afternoon, and that's thanks mostly to a lack of sunshine and a lack of storm fuel because of the lack of sunshine. So let's take a look at one model depiction of the future radar here. This is a high-resolution model. It updates once an hour. Now, this is just one piece of information. We look at a lot more than this, but its basic idea here is, showers around at times this morning, some breaks in the shower activity as we get into the afternoon, but then the radar fills back in. This is middle of the afternoon. This is right at the warmest time of the day. This is 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. This is when the sun strength is at its highest, and if we had a kind of a clean sector of rain-free weather with the sun trying to come out, the atmosphere could really destabilize at this time of the day. But we might have rain middle of the afternoon, and again, that would kind of inhibit, the severe weather chances. And this model, taken literally, has some bouts of heavy rain and maybe some pockets of gusty wind. but mostly showers with some rumbles and some gusty winds here and there through early this evening, but very little in the way of a severe weather threat. What about another high-resolution model? This is basically a model that has a similar resolution to the one I just showed you. It doesn't update quite as often, but this is the NAM model, the NAM, North American model. Its idea is pretty similar. I mean, it has the warm sector filling in this afternoon, right in the middle of the afternoon with a bunch of rain. The sun's not going to come out if that's, the right idea. It's going to be too rainy and too many showers around. It doesn't even realize the severe weather potential in our region at all, except for maybe down towards the southern panhandle of West Virginia and over towards maybe Morgantown. That's about as far north as any severe weather threat would, take shape according to that model. But again, there's lots of model information to look at. This model shows a little bit more of an ensemble approach. Several high-resolution computer models are thrown into this, and then you look at an average. And what we're looking at on these colors here are corridors of best instability and rotation, changing of the wind direction with height, wind shear, in other words, where that wind shear may be best realized or taken advantage of. And it does have a pretty impressive corridor of, this rotation / instability, kind of the combo of the two, across southeast Ohio, the panhandle of West Virginia, parts of western PA. It's just not as impressive once you get up into most of our TV viewing area. And I think this is generally the right idea. If someone's going to have some trouble with some rotating storms and potential severe weather this afternoon, I would say the odds are highest closer to Interstate 70 and then down into the panhandle of West Virginia and extreme southwestern Pennsylvania. Now, that's not to say the chances are zero up in the Youngstown area in our television market, but the chances, I think, are going to be higher this afternoon, where you have a better chance of some sunny breaks and more instability off to the south. Now, much like we said last week when that severe weather threat didn't really materialize, whatever day that was, last Tuesday, I think, severe weather or not, heavy rain is a concern. Now, last week we had too much rain. We had some localized flooding problems. We don't want a repeat of that. And while we haven't had heavy rain since then, we've had enough rain that the ground is still pretty wet. And so any heavy rain today would be unwelcome. The Weather Prediction Center, WPC, again, all part of the National Weather Service, they issue these outlooks for excessive rain. And when you see yellow, that's kind of a medium risk of excessive rain. And eastern Ohio and much of western PA is outlined in that general excessive rain risk today. So we have to be on guard for that. Even though severe weather risks may be, questionable today, the risk for heavy rain is still there, severe weather or not. And in fact, it's going to keep on raining into the day on Friday. It's going to be a much colder day Friday, a blustery day, and showers will keep coming and going. And from now through Friday evening, when the rain will finally start to taper off, our general region, we're looking at least an inch, maybe even close to 2 inches worth of rain as a general average. Now, if we get some thunderstorms later today, as you know, as we get into the warm season, thunderstorms can produce locally heavier amounts, but as an average, kind of a ballpark estimate for our entire region, an inch or two of rain does seem pretty likely in the coming days. But real quickly, some good news about the medium and longer range after a clammy Friday and a kind of a cool Saturday despite some sunshine. Check out these temperatures as we head towards, this is Sunday into next week, several days in a row with highs in the 70s before our next cool down, and that'll be right around 9-10 days from now, coming up around the 20th, 21st of April. We'll talk more about the longer range on my daily in-depth weather video, Weather for Weather Geeks. We post that each evening. We may not do one this evening depending on if we're tracking severe weather or not. So again, the forecast today, a tricky one. Make sure you're staying weather aware throughout the day. Check back often on social media and on the Storm Tracker 21 app, and tune in if you can to our newscasts coming up this afternoon at noon and this evening at 5 and 6. Thanks for hanging with me on this long Thursday morning video. Have a great rest of the day and stay weather aware.